Welcome to the deep dive. Our goal today: cut through the noise, give you a clear shortcut to understanding the big global environmental risks right now. You've pulled together some really fascinating sources: weather, geology, even space weather. So let's extract the key insights.
Absolutely. And it's a complicated picture as of July 21st, 2025. We're looking at a whole web of interconnected events. And all of this is happening against that persistent backdrop of global warming. The aim here is to see how these dots connect and, crucially, why it matters to you.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Straight away, the big picture from the sources. It points to global temperatures staying at or near record levels for, the next 5 years? And that number, the 86% chance of hitting 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels for at least 1 year between now and 2029. That feels, significant. What's lurking behind that trend?
Yeah, it's more than just a blip, isn't it? What's really fascinating, I think, is how it signals this fundamental shift. Basically, our definition of normal temperatures, it's changing fast. So events that used to be extreme outliers are becoming, more common, more intense. You see this really dramatically in the Arctic. It's projected to warm over 3.5 times the global average. Just imagine that.
Wow. 3.5 times.
Oh.
And speaking of intensity, let's shift to the immediate weather picture. Your brief highlights some really serious stuff happening right now. We've got parts of the U.S., Midwest, Missouri, Illinois facing major flash flood threats. Fayette County, Illinois got over 7 inches of rain in 24 hours on ground that was already soaked. And then, flip side, dangerous heat waves hitting the western U.S., the Rockies, St. Louis specifically under an extreme heat warning. It's such a contrast.
It really is. And it really highlights how these local conditions can amplify the bigger trends. It's interesting, too, how the ground itself matters. So dry soils, like out west, they absorb more heat, right? Warms the air directly. But wet soils, like in the central U.S., can actually cool things down a bit through evaporation.
Evaporative cooling. Okay.
Yeah, it's a critical dynamic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the tropics. The forecast for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season is above normal. We're talking 13 to 19 named storms, maybe 3 to 5 major ones. And right now, Typhoon Wifa is hitting northern Vietnam with heavy rain and strong winds. It just shows that even the sort of typical season can bring these huge challenges.
So the ground beneath us shapes the air above. And speaking of the ground, something else that jumped out from the brief beyond the weather was this constant hum of geological activity. Your sources mention, as of mid-July, 44 volcanoes globally in continuing eruption status. Now that sounds like a lot. Is this unusual or?
That's a really good point. It sounds dramatic, but the key insight isn't a sudden surge. It's more about the consistent underlying activity. 44 is actually pretty typical.
Yeah.
But it's still significant because it represents this persistent risk. Think about a new eruption in Iceland or ash plumes from Telica in Nicaragua. These aren't just local issues. They pose real hazards, like to aviation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder global risks aren't just weather.
Right, the planet itself is always dynamic. And then looking even further out, space weather. Your brief had some interesting bits there. Even with a low forecast for big solar storms, we're seeing this elevated electron flux. Values hitting, over 11,000 PFU? For someone not tracking this daily, what does that actually mean for us down here?
Great question. That elevated electron flux, it's basically energetic particles zipping around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a quiet threat. It means our satellites, the ones we rely on for GPS, communications, all that stuff, they're getting subtly zapped. It can cause this thing called internal charging.
Internal charging, like static electricity.
Exactly, like static building up inside the satellite.
Yeah.
And that can lead to weird behavior, glitches, maybe even temporary failure. Plus, we've had alerts for minor G1 geomagnetic storms. So even without huge solar flares, there are still risks to satellites and even ground systems from these, quieter space weather events. Space has its own weather report that matters.
So pulling this all together, what does it mean for you listening? This deep dive really shows this incredibly complex, interconnected web of environmental risks. Global warming, shifting the baseline normal, local floods, intense heat, the earth rumbling underneath, even subtle space weather messing with our tech, it's all connected.
Absolutely. And it just underscores how urgently we need better warning systems, ones that look at multiple hazards together. We need climate adaptation, stronger international teamwork too. These aren't isolated things.
Right. So for you, maybe this deep dive highlights just how dynamic our planet is, interacting in ways we don't always see day to day. How might understanding these connections from the ground under your feet right up to space change how you think about preparedness, whether that's for your community or maybe something bigger?